houses are going up in value. There's very limited inventory still to choose from, and there's really high rates. Those are all three challenges, which makes it, you have to be a lot more diligent on your underwriting. You have to be very specific and be patient to wait for the right deals to come up. But when you do, there's deals out there. We see it every single week. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore. We're back with Whiskey Wednesday. My main man, Dave Savolich. We've been changing up like Whiskey Wednesday a little bit. You know, we've got you're in here. We got producer Jake in here on the mic, headphones. We got a whole thing going on here. So we got a lot of topics to cover for you guys. Those of you guys that are new to us, Whiskey Wednesdays, when we talk about different topics going on in the world, you guys send in questions. So as a reminder, if you have questions about your short-term rental investing journey, send those in to support@vodyssey.com. We'll make sure that we get to those on an upcoming episode. And then we talk about kind of market reports, trending things in the short-term rental world as well. So we got a whole list of things on the topics for today, and covering everything from Captain America to Super Bowl picks to the Fed, what all they're deciding to do with the rates, and
little short-term rental stuff too.
We got all kinds of stuff.
You going to the Jazz game tonight?
I'm going to the Jazz game. You see my old John Stockton jersey?
John Stockton, one of the best ever.
Old John Stockton. Me and Wyatt are going. By my good buddy Eddie Gill, who I played ball with. He's a commentator for the Pacers, and so he's coming in town, and we're gonna go meet him before the game. And
awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. He actually knows what he's doing behind the mic. He actually won an Emmy 2 years ago for doing the announcing. And so maybe I might go get some tips on the podcast. I might say, hey, share some tips and see what I can do to get better.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we're going to go down today. It'll be fun.
Good. All right. Well, let's jump in. Okay. Captain America, huh? It's a good show. I love that series and some of that stuff that's going on, with those.
You got a clip? It looks like we have a clip on this one. So guys, we're going to play some clips for you.
A little disappointing though.
All right, let's see what old Mackie has to say.
Let's see. Here we go.
All right.
Can you hear it?
Can't hear it, but I know what he's saying.
You know what he's saying?
You can read Spanish?
Well, I've read this before, but it's the subtitles are in Spanish too. So
for me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like,
get out of here. Okay,
yeah,
enough.
That's pretty.
A man who keeps
that's
his
pretty
word.
disappointing.
Holly
you know
woke.
what I mean?
That's all it is.
Yeah,
these guys.
I mean, come on. Like the guy's like made multi-millions off of this series and these shows, and he's been.
You
great.
don't like
People
what America represents? I mean, Captain America is an awesome hero. Like he's a superhero, and he's a awesome character. I have not seen the show. Probably won't go see it at this stage, but it's, like he says the American dream, and it doesn't represent the honor and integrity, that shouldn't be called Captain America. I have a really hard time with this stuff.
Yeah.
I really do. Holly woke is I can't even handle it anymore. Like I was way beyond not giving a crap about these guys. They just live in their own bubble. They talk about, they're never thankful for the opportunity they have. Go try to do what you do somewhere else.
Right.
Go try to make the millions and millions that you make here in the opportunity you have here in America somewhere else.
Right.
And see how it works for you.
Yeah.
And they love to point the finger. Now, are we perfect? Absolutely not. Are there things that we always want to get better on? But that's growth, and that's improving, and that's everything else. But to just always throw shade every time you have a platform, just go do your job. These guys, you do a really good job of the things that you do, which is learning a script, playing a character, and then nobody gives a shit about your opinion about, whether you think that this represents America or not. It's an all-time, superhero that is Captain America, and don't ruin it for the rest of us that like that stuff, or that like the land of opportunity and the American dream and integrity and honor and the fight that it takes to be an American. If you don't like it, leave. Right. They all threaten to leave. Yeah. They all talk about leaving all the time. What's this guy's name? I don't even know who this is. Anthony Mackie. Mr. Mackie, with all due respect, you're welcome to leave. Go be Captain Canada, Captain Mexico, Captain,
Russia.
Captain Russia, Captain Argentina. If you don't want to be Captain America,
exactly.
I don't know. It is what it is. We're America. People can say what they want to say, but so can I, right? Yeah. And we can have our own opinions. I think it's I think it's stupid. What do you think?
I can't even add to that because I think you said it perfectly.
All right.
So I'm not even going to say
We both
anything.
think it's stupid.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
There you go, Anthony.
I mean, when I think of Captain America now, I just think of the cartoons that I watched when I was like 10. So
Right.
that's how I'm going back to those Captain
just
Americas.
why not say, hey man, this has been an amazing, what an amazing ride. What an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, you're not getting that opportunity if you're not in America.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
Right.
You'll find somewhere else that has that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
So moving on, Anthony
Hey.
Mackie, that's all we're going to talk about you.
So, well said. Let's move on.
Okay.
Utah Hockey Club. We got a hockey team here. Love
Yeah.
it. I've gone down to a couple games. They're unbelievable. They're so much fun. The support's awesome. But they named them the Utah Hockey Club for this year, and then they've decided, thinking about, okay, they're going to rebrand it, maybe have a new name for next year. They just committed for 1 year. So the Utah Hockey Club is still an option. The Utah Mammoth, the Utah Outlaws, and they did talk about the Utah Yetis, but they couldn't come to an agreement with Yeti, the cooler manufacturer. So that's out. So what name do you like out of those three?
I love the Outlaws. Like
right.
I like the Outlaws. Like we always want to tell a story with our short-term rentals. We always say, hey,
Right.
we're in the experience business. Obviously, professional sports is branding, and you got to get fans behind it. Here in Utah, hockey's new, so it's it's kind of the new kid on the block. Everybody's excited about it. There's a lot of energy around it, and I love the Outlaws. Utah has a lot of history with some famous outlaws. Do you know some of the most famous outlaws in Utah? Like I know a few of them. So I'm just testing you. I'm quizzing you right now. There's some famous outlaws in Utah.
Jim Bridger.
Jim Bridger is not an outlaw, a Utah outlaw.
Billy the Kid.
Yeah. Billy the Kid. He was a big one. You know, the Wild Bunch, the Sundance Kid, and so they were. You know, he was raised down in southern Utah by Mormons down there in southern Utah, and they called him the gentleman outlaw. Do you know that? Because he was part of the Wild Bunch, but he never killed anybody. Now there was other guys in the Wild Bunch that were pretty
good leader.
That were pretty rough. That were pretty rough. But yeah, we got some major outlaws here in Utah.
The Outlaws, they kind of showed the potential logo, and it had a cowboy hat and crossed the front. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that you would love the logo that they were going to create for that too. So,
Porter Rockwell, he was kind of he was like a lot of people say he was an outlaw. Porter Rockwell was really like he was kind of the bodyguard. Well, he was the bodyguard and kind of protector of Joseph Smith, who was the president of the LDS Church back then. Yeah. And so he was kind of more of they say like a pretty rough, but more of a peacekeeper protector.
Right.
They say that he actually is credited because he was actually a U.S. Marshal at one point. Did you know that?
Right. I didn't know that.
So he's credited for killing more outlaws. So the outlaws know him as like he's coming after you. Like he didn't mess around though. Right. And so a lot of people looked at him as an outlaw because he was pretty. Yeah. He was pretty ruthless. Yeah. But he's credited for killing more outlaws than Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp, Tom Horn, and one other major U.S. Marshal combined.
Wow.
So he didn't mess around.
So
maybe Utah Outlaws.
Listen to this. They're going to vote for the Outlaws for sure.
Outlaws. There you go.
What I mean? Look at the
our
logo.
outlaw.
It's pretty sweet. Huh?
Yeah, I like that.
That's pretty sweet.
I say
that's going to be center ice.
I say we put some Outlaws on the ice.
The Mammoth, that's not bad though.
Mammoth is cool, but the Outlaws, there's a story to tell with the Outlaws in Utah.
I think the Outlaws or the Mammoth for me. You know what I mean? The Utah Hockey Club kind of sounds more like a soccer, club from Europe. So, although I like that name too, I guess because I'm maybe used to it now.
Okay.
But anyways, so all right, let's move on. Super Bowl this week. Next week, I guess in 6 days, Super Bowl, a big
Super Bowl week.
Big game. Kansas City Chiefs in it again. Philadelphia. I don't know who you want. I know you want the Philadelphia.
I'm going the Eagles. Yeah. I'm going the Eagles. I'm a Bronco fan, so I'm not a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
We got our good buddy Jeff Weaver. Who's been a big part of Odyssey family. He was a little upset that we threw some shade on Kansas City last week when we said they should not have made the top 25 places in the world to visit
by BBC
and I'm doubling down and telling Jeff that you were wrong. Kansas City is not that great. And even though you're in the Super Bowl, he and I have a wager.
He made sure that we knew that it was for the third time there in a row.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's kind of rubbing in that they've got they kind of got a dynasty going over there in Kansas City, but that doesn't mean that it's one of the best places to visit.
You got a wager going?
He did show us, he did send a picture of a good barbecue joint that's world famous. And so there you go. I mean, I know you've got some good stuff in Kansas City, and I'll come have some ribs with you anytime, but I'm still not saying you're not even on the top 100 places on my list to visit in the worldwide. Kansas City is not making that list. Right. So I apologize, Jeff, but that's not on the list.
You got a little wager with him, huh?
Yeah.
$100
$100 on the game. And I'm taking Philly for the win.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned for another week.
I told I was talking to my family or my brother yesterday. I was like, man, I can't wait to see LaShawn McCoy just kill it. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, hey, that's how far back on the Philly guys, the running backs I'm going. Exactly. I'm like, okay, I get it's Saquon Barkley having a heck of a season. I did not mean to,
no, that guy's I
should not have messed it up, but I said I acted like LaShawn McCoy was still playing for Philly.
Well, you never know, dude.
Hey, you never know. He might suit up.
Barkley's awesome, dude.
Oh my gosh, what an unbelievable season.
It'll be interesting. I'm excited.
He's a fun guy to watch.
Yeah.
Just a great attitude, just gets after it, gets it done. I love watching him. And a lot of these guys, just phenomenal athletes, congratulations to all of them. I mean, it's hard to make the Super Bowl, right? And even if you are the Chiefs and you get every call from the refs, I mean, it's still kind of hard.
Yeah.
Not as hard for them as everybody else. All right.
This is interesting. This came up, and I saw this actually, a clip of this just a little bit ago, but it looks like it's resurfacing a little bit. But it says Utah schools are putting kids into seclusion boxes. And I mean, it's crazy. Now, this isn't all the schools, and this isn't, it's not, Utah wide, but there are a couple schools, and I don't know what schools there are, but they have these seclusion boxes that are kind of padded. So if a child is acting out, they put them in there, and I think it's
it's solitary confinement.
It's terrible.
It's like, literally putting kids in solitary confinement.
Yeah,
look at that. And how is that a thing?
I can't even imagine. The picture that we're seeing is actually there actually is a window on it. The other ones I'm not sure have windows.
They're like padded rooms.
Yeah,
that they throw kids in if they misbehave.
Right.
Really?
And I know.
Wow.
The worst part was
that's embarrassing.
These parents didn't know about this. And so the kids would come home and say, hey, I got to go in the box today or something, and they're like, well, what are you talking about? And so they found out, and that's what kind of brought it to head is like, guys, we got to stop doing this, So, I mean, this is crazy. Jake's back there laughing.
Jake's laughing. This is Jake's from Georgia, so they must not do solitary confinement.
Well, they stopped doing that in Georgia like a year ago. So he's like, dude, that's old news.
That's old news. Yeah, we still do solitary confinement for our kids here in the Utah public schools. That's why I homeschool. There you go, right there. That's a great example of why I homeschool, or I should say Teresa homeschools. Not
my kids are out of school now, so I'm thankful that
they never. You ought to ask them if they ever made it to the seclusion box.
I'm gonna ask them this weekend when they get home.
That's really pretty sad. It's really not that funny.
It's interesting because the kids in most of these situations, and this even makes it worse. But some were autistic. Some had anxiety, depression.
Well, that's their. It looks like I'm looking at some of the articles, just scanning it. It looks like that's their excuse, as if that makes it okay.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
Because they were more Utah school board or whoever's doing this, that is not okay. Yeah. Let's figure out how to. That's unreal.
Yeah. So
I mean,
well, let's move away from that as a state. You know what I mean? Let's not tell a lot of people about that either.
Well, we just went from talking about some good things about Utah, but I mean, I'm not really proud to say that we have solitary confinement for our kids in the schools.
Maybe the Outlaws is a better name than we thought.
Maybe there's some outlaws in the school board.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some of those, not the gentleman bandits,
no.
the real outlaws. They're taking our kids and running with it. Jeez.
All
right, let's talk about business. Let's talk about some business.
Moving into short-term rental stuff. All right, so this is something that comes up always first of the year. A lot of folks in our community and emails that come in, and they ask about, if I'm self-managing, and I have cleaners or I have concierge or I have other people, what do I, from a tax perspective, what do I need to give to them? And everybody's asking, is it a 1099? And so what advice do we give our members when they're going down this path to fill out their taxes.
Obviously, if you're running a business, you should have a CPA, and you should be strategically planning with the CPA. You should have all this set up before January and February when you're like going backwards. This stuff should be set up. But let's say you're saying, hey, when should I 1099 somebody? When should I not? Just think about your subcontractors. Your cleaners, a lot of times, are subcontractor 1099s, right? And so they're going to get a 1099. Anybody that's not an employee is going to get a 1099 that you're paying directly, right? They're sending you a bill, you pay them, you're going to send them a 1099. But talk to your CPA because it depends on how you have it set up. And you may be thinking that somebody's a subcontractor and really they're an employee, and you need to be W-2ing them, and you need to be. You're going to pay more taxes, but you should really strategically be talking to a CPA about this stuff. But simply stated, if it's a subcontractor, you're going to send them a 1099 so you can make sure that one, you can write off that expense, but they will be required to report that income as well.
Right. Well, and like you said, make sure you talk to the CPA, have a plan in place, and then make sure you note this and have this organized so the next year you know exactly what to do and you do it again.
Right.
So that's good. All right. All right. Should people try to collaborate with local brands for their short-term rentals? For example, Kodiak Cakes, like when they do a welcome basket, maybe local stuff. I have a buddy that's in Bear Lake, Utah. They have fresh raspberry jam. They have a fresh baked goods, things like that. I mean, what do you think? You think it's important to kind of collaborate with the local stuff?
100%. Yeah. Right. When we're telling the story about our properties and we're trying to create this amazing experience, the local flavor, the local events, the local, whether it's, breads or honey, a lot of times coffees or restaurants and different things like that. Absolutely bring that into your short-term rental and make that part of the experience. And you should collaborate with those, the local boutique shops, the restaurants, some of the, whether it's artwork, whether it's breads and honeys or things that you eat and consume, like all those things can make an amazing experience for a guest that's coming into an area that's brand new, and they get a kind of a slice of the local flavor. There's a lot of local breweries that you can put in, different types of beers or wines at vineyards, if that's a big thing in your area. And anytime we're setting up a short-term rental, it's one of the first places we go to look, right? We always talk about creating this experience. We look at the history of the area. We look at some of the things the area is known for. We look at some of the things that, the activities and the things that people want to go do. And then we reach out to those local, all of those local vendors in the community to try to wrap them into that whole experience for our guests. And our guests love it. The local vendors love it. And also you become a part of the local economy. And now all of a sudden it starts to trickle down where people don't say, and they kind of say, hey, listen, we kind of like these short-term rentals, right? When you wrap in the local economy, there's a trickle-down effect where people aren't fighting short-term rentals. They're saying, hey, listen, we like this. The businesses in the area are saying, we like this. We need these tourists. We need these consumers coming into our area. And we're a part of that. And we can be a bigger part of that by putting that into our rentals, whether it's our gift baskets, whether it's recommendations, all of those different things, and really all of the above.
And people will ask, well, how do I get those things to my property? And there's a couple ways. one, your housekeeper, if they're able to, they might be able to access the local, or if they're in town and they just know, hey, these are the tasks that you need to do as a housekeeper, and this is what we're paying you for. So maybe they stop by. I know in my friend's case, she stops by and picks up a loaf of bread and some jam on the way to clean the place for the next guest. Property manager, you can help. Or if it's non-perishable, you can buy them in bulk and have them in the cleaner's closet or the owner's closet, and then they can set them out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. If it's non-perishable, even like jams, like, they have a shelf life of, a year or two, right? So you can go and stock up every 6 months and get those, all of those, a lot of things are not going to, you can stock them up in the owner's closet, and then every single time a guest leaves, the cleaners just put a new welcome basket out, right? If it is perishable, we have some people that do breads and cookies and different things from bakeries, and they just make sure the bakery a lot of times is willing to deliver them when they know that somebody's coming and checking in. They come in and actually deliver them fresh, and they're happy to do it because one, they've got the delivery service already set up, and they get the business, and they're really happy. The guests are super happy when somebody knocks on their door with a basket of cookies or bread or everything else. It's really nice.
Yeah, good. So we got an email response from one of the marketing things that we sent out, and So it says, I'm a busy physician. I love my job. However, I've always wanted to pursue my goal of building a portfolio of investment properties to build a better future. I'm 55 years old and I feel like I've let too much time slip by. My question is, how do you balance the demands of the everyday life to reignite the fire and find the time necessary to pursue such goals? I'm an active listener and I appreciate all of your advice.
Awesome. Well, one, thank you for listening. Two, it's 55 years old. I mean, you still have a long runway, right? And I mean, you're not running out of time, right? And this is one of those questions that is a version of, I've got everything going on and I don't have enough time. You're just not making it a priority, right? It comes down to that. You've got to look in the mirror and say, if this is something I want to do, I have to make it a priority. It's every single person is busy. I'm busy. Right. You're busy. This person's busy. Every single person. I've never talked to somebody who's not busy. Have you?
Nope.
I've never met somebody that says, I'm not that busy. I sit around all day and I've got all kinds of time, and the fact that you're busy is a good thing because one, if you're a physician, I'm assuming, and you love your job, I'm assuming you've got good active income and you want to start to capitalize on that. That doesn't mean you give up the goal of building that investment portfolio, whether that's short-term rentals or whatever else. You didn't say it's short-term rentals. I'm hoping, maybe it is because he's listened to our podcast. But at the end of the day, you have to say, am I going to make this a priority? You're not out of time. 55 years old. I mean, most of us are, average age is around 80 right now. So, if you're going to hit the average, you got 25 years left. I mean, that's, you can accomplish a lot in a year, 3, 5, 10, and you're looking back and saying, holy crap, look what I built. Right. And so, but it is a commitment. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it didn't take a commitment and it didn't take saying, hey, listen, I need to prioritize this over something else. I need to roll up my sleeves and I need to get after it. Everybody would be doing it. And so, don't sit on your hands and get comfortable sitting there. You make a good living and then you say, I've kind of let too much time slip by and I'm not going to do it anymore. That's just, is that really what you want to do at the end of the day? You get to the end of your life and you want to say, I'm glad I did instead of I wish I had, right? Yeah. They're two different roads you're going to run down. You want to always be looking back and saying, man, I wish I would have done that. Man, I wish I would have tried that. Right. No, you want to be the person that's saying, man, I'm glad I tried that. Even if you don't make it work, it's better to say, I'm glad I tried it. But most of the time when you try something and you take action, you actually make things work. And so my advice would be start today. Who knows what you're going to build? Who knows what that portfolio is going to look like? So get started on it, right?
Well,
say, I want to do this.
Is a great investment for equity and appreciation, the lifestyle asset part of what we teach. So it's a great place to put your money, especially if you're considering okay, what's my next asset? What's my next diversification? Get in it and start it today.
Yeah, it's and again, just start, take action. Even if the action is deciding if this is what asset class. He specifically just said in their investment properties, wants to build a portfolio of investment properties. Go start researching which ones you want to buy. Go, whether it's short-term, long-term, mid-term, multifamily, commercial, whatever it is, go start doing that research. And then one thing leads to another, one step leads to the second step. And then before you know it, you look back and you walked a mile, right? Yeah. And then you keep going. And so, just start doing something.
Well, and I part of it is maybe this is just the motivation he needs to say, hey, I'm listening to the podcast. I just need somebody to tell me it's okay. And that I got plenty of time and that there's no excuses. Let's just do it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Don't be the person that always looks back and says, man, I wish I would have tried that. Man, I wish I would have done that. Right. You're not going to like yourself at the end of your days if that's the person you always were. Yeah. You're going to be proud of yourself if you're the person that says, man, I'm glad I tried that. Man, I'm glad I took action. I'm glad I did instead of I wish I had.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about maybe some of the reasons why people should start. And so here's a couple things that, kind of about the market.
Okay, market updates,
general, the Fed pauses on the rate cuts. A lot being talked about recently on the rate cuts, what's going to happen with Trump in office? Is it, obviously he jumps in and says, hey, I'm going to get these things cut, but there's more to it with inflation and jobs and all that kind of stuff. What's kind of going on your side
so,
of things
and it's good. Jerome Powell's coming out and saying, hey, we're going to stop on the cuts. We're not going to raise them. We're going to hold steady. There's, the long-term strategy should not change right now just because a new administration comes in and, we're, as much as pressure as Trump wants to put on him to drop rates, he's saying, hey, listen, the strategy shouldn't change. Right. We've got to watch and keep an eye on inflation. They want it closer to that 2% range, and it hasn't been dropping close enough to that. And so they're going to pause on the rate cuts, and they're going to look at, the jobs. They're going to look at the inflation data, all of those different things. And it's likely that the rates are going to kind of sit where they're at, right? They're not going to, he's not indicating significant drops in the near future. He said, we're going to watch it really closely. And, it's good that the market hears that. But that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
As much as we'd love to see them come down, and a lot of buyers would love to see them come down, it doesn't mean that that's always the best thing for the economy.
And
right?
I also think that doesn't mean that there aren't great opportunities.
No,
in our
exactly.
world out there. So
Yeah.
don't let that scare you. I mean,
Exactly.
let's keep moving forward with the goals and the ideas and the strategies that we talk about. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Interest rates are just a line item on an expense report when you're looking at investment property. It's part of your pro forma. Can it make deals easier to cash flow or less likely to cash flow based on where rates are at? Absolutely. But it's just a line item. Yeah. And so you don't make decisions based on where rates are at. You make decisions based on whether the deal works in spite of rates, right? And wherever they're at. And so you have to look at it that way as well. And knowing that the deal needs to work before you go into it, but waiting for rates to move is just an amateur move, right? It means you just have not been investing long enough. There's very, very, very few. In fact, I'm sure there's some out there. I have never talked to an experienced investor that actually cares whether rates are high or low, or I shouldn't say whether they care. We all care, right? It makes, if they're really low, we have better cash flow. So we like lower rates. I shouldn't say it that way. What I should say is they don't stay out of markets or out of deals because rates are high or low.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that leads into, houses as well. People want houses. They want to buy more houses. The demand has gone up.
Yeah.
I think almost 4% since November.
Yeah.
What do you think that trend looks like?
Yeah. And that's the thing. What we're seeing right now is that in like the report that came out this week is year over year, month over month, the demand just continues to go up. More houses are going under contract than they have in the past. It's almost up, like you said, by 4%. It's a weird market. It's a really weird market because it doesn't feel like a buyer's market. It doesn't feel like a seller's market. But every time we look at this, the data,
keep going.
The demand continues to be there, right? And it's because inventory is so dang low, right? And the properties that are going under contract. The interesting part, I think there was, let's see, keep going down, scroll down a little bit right there. There's over of the 497,000 homes that are available that went under contract, only 118,000 have been completed. So there's just no inventory.
Right.
And so what's happening is these buyers are saying, we're going to go under contract on these homes, but only a quarter of them are even completed. We're like 3/4 of the homes that are going under contract right now, and they're going under, that are going in escrow, are not even completed. They're under construction. Some of them aren't even started yet. And so some of the incentives are going to be with the new administration. They're really trying to speed up the permitting process. They're really trying to speed up just even on the entitlement process of being able to take raw land and get it entitled to build lots or subdivide lots and build homes on it. All of that, speeding all that up will help with the inventory problem. And because the inventory is a problem, the next thing we're showing that prices continue to go up. Yeah. Prices continue to skyrocket. Yeah. And, across the board, I think last year over year was a 4% appreciation. And most people, when you ask them, they think prices are going down. Right. They think prices are dropping. The numbers don't show that. Whether you think that or not, whether it feels like that, whether it feels like nothing's selling, is just it's a factor of that gap between supply and demand is still so wide. And
it is a weird market because you have the interest rates high and you have a lot of people sitting on their current houses because they got a really good interest rate. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, it'll be interesting to see over the next few months how things shake out, especially after the new administration, is in there for a few months and, where we're at. But
and I think that you're going to see too with this new administration. I mean, you have to be prepared to take a step back to hopefully take a couple steps forward. I don't think it's all of a sudden there's no magic wand. I mean, a lot of these policies that they're trying to change, they're going to make things worse. Consumer goods could probably go higher when all the tariffs start to hit and everything else. The problem is, or the thing is, with the U.S. has such a major lever on how much money we spend. The consumers in the U.S., it's the largest economy in the world and the largest consumer group in the world. And so a lot of these places that you're going to have tariffs on, the argument is prices in goods are going to go up further, but the goal, they probably will. I would agree they're probably going to go up, but my hope is that those policies, because of that lever is so big, they start to come down as well, right? It's adjusting different things. Strategy is going to be different. Time will tell, right? The jury's still out whether it's going to work. I believe it will, but you might take a step back before he takes 2 steps forward. But when it comes to the housing market, we're just, it's like a grinded out market right now, right? Houses are going up in value. There's very limited inventory still to choose from, and there's really high rates. Those are all 3 challenges, which makes it, you have to be a lot more diligent on your underwriting. You have to be very specific and be patient to wait for the right deals to come up. But when you do, there's deals out there. We see it every single week, right? Inside of our community, specifically in the short-term rental world, there's a lot of really good deals right now. When it comes to like, if you're actually in the market looking at it, they're just not, if you just are looking from the outside looking in and kind of peeking around the corner to see if you see any good deals, you're not going to see them. You have to be in the market. Right. You have to be really diligently searching, underwriting deals, knowing what you're looking for. So when that good one comes up, you're ready to take it, because it still goes really, really fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Well, I think we had a good episode today, but I can't help myself, but just kind of throw one more thing out.
Let's hear it.
Beyonce, she won a Grammy for a top country album and song and all that stuff. I mean, it's,
Was she even on the top
think?
30 on any country billboards? Was she? I listen to country every day, so I heard a couple of her songs. I've heard 1 or 2 of her songs, but they never made it on any top charts. They never Beyonce is a worldwide brand.
She was surprised.
Like, don't get me wrong. As far as like when it comes to her genre and her world, like she's probably as big as they get, right? Yeah. I mean, she's as big as they get. So don't get me wrong there. But the top country album, I mean, I listen to country every day. She's not top country album. I mean, there's a lot of really good country albums, and in top country duo, I'm sorry, Grammys, you missed that one, because
way missed it. I mean,
they way missed it.
We know we're the biggest country fans there is.
There's we
think of
we
how
love
many
it.
country singers are turning over in their grave. Like, really, this is what's going on.
Well, it's again, award shows. Who knows how they get them? Again, no disrespect to Beyonce, because I know in her world, she's a big deal, and she has done an amazing job of all the things that she's done and accomplished. Like, I don't want to take anything away from that, but this album is not a top country album of the year. That's not the top country album of the year. So I'm surprised you threw that in.
I
there.
know. I mean, you won't even look at the camera,
huh?
I mean, I can see you won't even look at the camera.
No,
He's looking away.
I'm not looking. I'm not looking at it. It's a miss.
It's what's interesting though.
That one's a miss.
I literally listen to country music every single day, every second that I'm in my car. I haven't even heard the song. Yeah. So that doesn't. I mean, I'm not like whatever. But
well, it wasn't even one song. It was album, right? It was album of the year.
Like, I haven't even heard any of it, and like we go to concerts all year. We follow that stuff, and
we listen. Yeah, I've heard a couple of her songs.
I heard you singing it the other day when you came in. I heard you singing it.
Hey, some people like it. I'm not saying that there might not be good songs on there, or it might not be a decent album. It's not album of the year, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And I know, like, I listen to country all day, every day, and her songs I know are not on the top 30, and so it's not. But whatever. I don't know how they vote. I don't know how the votes go. But it seems like a miss when it comes to that.
I mean, I was glad that we got that in real quick.
Okay, I'm glad you.
Before we wrap it up, buddy,
that.
good job. Thanks for the insights today.
Okay,
man.
all right, guys, we'll wrap it up. We know how valuable your time is. These are kind of fun episodes for us. You guys hopefully are getting more of what you're asking for, because you guys give us the feedback to do a little bit more of these episodes when it comes to Whiskey Wednesday. Cover topics outside of our short-term rental world, so you can kind of get to know our opinion on certain things. And so keep in mind that's just what it is. It's our opinion. And so if you love to hear if you disagree and want to debate it, we'd love to hear some different insights. If you have some other suggestions on things you want to hear on Whiskey Wednesday, let us know. And then also, if you have questions, please send them in. Those are, for me, I like answering the questions. Those are my favorite part of the show, is when you guys send in those questions. And so send those questions in. We'll make sure we answer it on an upcoming episode. If you like the show and you got any value out of it, somebody else who would, share the show. Those things help us. If you have more than 30 seconds, like it or review it on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And the final, most important thing I ask you at the end of every episode is pick that one thing you can do today. Start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends. Cheers. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website?
Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodacy.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.